going to quickly go over the 10 graphic designer book. This is a former designer who took it last semester. This is the image she did on the front cover. I kind of wish that she would have pushed it a little bit more. This was a nice spread. And then the table of contents. And you can see she's got all of the designers. And then these were the spreads. She really took advantage of the playfulness of putting the copy in different places. I liked her little gradient around the edge. It was really well done. And then she has 5 different images. So you guys are definitely going to do 5 images. So you'll have to look up 5 different images from each designer, her inspiration. And this is the original and this is her interpretation. It's a great exercise and really thinking about the designer. Don't do more than 5. And then this is her inspiration, the original, and how she interpreted it. I think that there's a couple of problems with lining up type. This should be lined up. But overall, I think this is a very good book about the graphic designers. If you really work hard on this, you have a couple of weeks to do this. Please take your time and really think about how to design these books. You should have had last week to do your research, so you should be ready to kind of start putting this stuff together. All right, I'm going to be excited to see all your great pieces. This part, you're going to not only collect all the research that you have, but you're going to design a book from it. Please make sure you have everything set up and finished for this part. Make sure you've downloaded the text. So this is the text that I created for you to read, and then you want to Google this designer and look for maybe this is one of the pieces. Look for the art. Make sure you read over everything so that you're really ready to design for it. So again, we're using the folders that I've had you guys set up throughout the whole year, which is now the InDesign lesson 4. You have your statements here, so this should be a PDF or Word document. If you like Word, have it saved, all of your 5 statements. And then this is the text that is located here. The actual book in progress, and then all of your images. So you see I have the first one on the list, Alan's information here. I have my inspiration image, which I'll show you in a minute, and then a few pictures that I found of his work that I want to put in my book. I have my cover. You can create your own cover image, and then so that is what I expect you to have for all of the designers. So I'm just going to do this right on top of it. If you have the file open, you would just go to new. Otherwise, it'll just show you this new document element. You're pretty familiar with this, I'm sure, by now. We're going to do print. We're going to do letter. We're going to change it to inches. 10 graphic designers book. So we have the title done. We have the width and height correct. We want this portrait orientation. We do want facing pages because we'll be making spreads. And I said at first we should at least have 20 pages. Columns, I said 6. And margins, I think I did 25. I did 25 for bleed and a quarter for margins. So let's see how close it is to what I had done before. And then hit create. Alright, so you have everything you need here. Remember, you can always utilize master pages anytime you want, right? W, remember, as long as you're not on text, you can see what it actually looks like. You change this color. So if you had something that you want on all pages, you could do that. So let's start at the beginning. Make sure you have the copy of the name of the book correct. Open up text box and put it in. And then begin to start choosing how you want to lay this out. Do you have this in multiple text boxes? What typeface do you want? So either Helvetica, Arial, maybe you don't want it all in caps. You can go to type and change the case here. So you really have an opportunity to choose anything you want. And I would say this and the title page, I would just manually do it. And then once you get the look that you like, then build your paragraph styles and your creative styles. So I have the name here. You're going to put some art here, remember? And remember, if you don't want a master to bleed through to the front cover, you can just block it by doing none. And I want you to really stay within the columns. It kind of helps support the design. But you can make this repetitive if you wanted. You know, maybe this is just number 10. Remember E, transform, is still here. If I do E and hold shift, it will increase the size of my type in my type box. Otherwise, the type box will just open and close and not affect the type. I have to hit the transform or E for transform to do it. There's also letting and kerning that we've talked about. So you have, which might be nice because then I can increase the size of the typeface. And remember, you can play with color. There's color options. If not, you can choose a color palette. So remember, you just go to flat color design. All you gotta do is have it added to my swatches. And it should be now in your swatch. So before you be the name, so you can go back to the page and select the copy of the name of the book. The other thing is title page needs to actually say title page. And then you're gonna need either you put it with it or you have it on its separate. This is the designer's names and then pages. And then usually there's like either you can use the tab, which we talked about before. So I can hit Shift Command T for tab or tab. And you can set your tab here. Now I'm going to hit tab. It should move it to where I have it lined up. And if I want to line it up again next to the grid, that would be a good idea. So it's page 1 to page possibly 4. And then you keep naming all of your designers. I'm just copy pasting. The other thing you're missing is you should call yourself out as the designer. Designed. So do design by and then your name. So these are all the elements that you would need. The only other one that we're still missing is page numbers. So we'll do one page number here. I don't typically put a page number on this side, but we can start here. So this is where you start picking your styles. So maybe this is going to line up right to your black line. It's larger and the numbers are always Helvetica, where the copy is Guermantes or Baskerville. No more than 2 different typefaces, everyone. And then again, stay within the typefaces that I told you, but you can change the characters. So then you just keep figuring out like, oh, this is the title, it should be bigger. How does it fit into the guide, the grid, I mean. And then do I want it bold? Maybe I want it bold. And then this should stay at a certain size, more readable type, around 11. This could be something different. Maybe it's just semi-bold and you go up to 14. And this could stay at that generic typeface size. So we're already getting a style going on. Maybe this is uppercased. Maybe this is all caps. You need to decide on those elements. Maybe it's actually bold. Maybe you do the characteristic and add a line underneath it. But make sure you call it, this is more of the subheader. So it will automatically kind of take in the information that I have before, all caps. And then you can change the color or you can do the outline. Maybe pick dots instead. And we should be able to see it. Oh, so that's what it looks like with the dots. Oh, it's also selecting the ones below. You gotta make sure your my stuff is in there. So this needs to be sub.
So it's not the header, but it's still a header in some cases. So I call it subheader. Format's fine. I'm just adding something more defining. Okay, so for here, we want to change it. Call this body. It's the main copy. It's the body copy of it. And just make sure the underline is off, because it might have taken the characteristics of a different typeface. So the problem here is that you always have to have a return. So that has a return now. I should be able to do that. And then I can select this as my body. The other thing I noticed is that it's doing all caps, and we want normal. So it's a little difficult to play around with this. This should then be just body copy, so that makes it easier. And then you would take the characteristics of a header. So this is a header, this is a subheader, this is body copy, and this is just a different ornate type. And then you want to put in your page number. And then you really have everything you need to create your content. So we have header, subheader, body copy, more body copy, and then page number. And feel free to, like, if you had something else you wanted, if you were going to do weird large numbers through the whole thing, you can add large numbers. Like I numbered each one of the artists. So you can always add in more characters. And if you want to make some of these bold, remember you can go to character. So I'll add a new character. We're going to change the family to bold. Then hit OK. So now it's bold. So it's still the type size as body copy, but it's bold. And so if I wanted to make, remember to put in what the style is. And then this I might want to do italic. And then I can make my page numbers actually italic. I always do just IT, so I know that's italic. Alright, so you have italic, bold, it'll affect any of these. Like I can even just make this italic if I wanted to. So there's a lot of ways of just setting up the type. And once the type is set up, then you can just, play around with the overall look. This can be changed to anything manually if I wanted to relate it to the pink. And then you go back and forth with the W. And then this would be that information that we wanted, right? The name of the designer. So you go back to that list that I gave you. Name and date. And then what country are they in? And then you can start putting in the copy. So either this is your paragraph copy, or this is the copy that I was provided. So you select all of what I have provided and you paste it in here. Remember that that little box will pop up and you can add a new column. This could be the sample, the images. Remember, you can use the arrows as long as you didn't let go of the box to create more box forms. And then here I can just place the images. Now remember, everything immediately is masked, so I double click on it, I can go back and see how large it is. Make sure you don't distort the imagery, right? So when you do click on it and increase the size, you're hitting shift as you drag in. And I've been using the zoom in and zoom out, because when the picture is really, really big, it's hard to see it. Right, and you kind of play around with that. Now we got the two images. You might have three, so maybe you make this into the way I had it before. You can really do anything you want, just as long as all the elements are there. And then I already provided the name of the book and the design. So where does that go? And what typeface do you use for that? And then you should put in, and I would just copy your numbers. So if you wanted to, you could just do one side. So this is 1, 2, and then this would be 3 all the way down. And you still want to do a number, a big number for it. So you could just do this and change it to 1 for the 1, the first one of 10, and play with it within the column. And then, like I said, the next spread could be your inspiration. And remember when I was telling you I did it as a bitmap? Now it allows me to change the colors if I wanted to. So have fun with it. You just need to make sure you have all the elements, and voila. That's how you would do your first spread. So this would be 1 of 10 of these. But really kind of challenge yourself to make each spread a little bit different. But use the same type elements that you've set up in your paragraph styles. All right, I hope you just have fun with this. So the first thing I did was I came up with the image and I put the copy in. And I wanted these to be a little bit different. This type is 150 and this is 55 with the leading 50. It's on its own type box, so I can put it anywhere I wanted to put it. And this is an Illustrator file, and then I colored the box with yellow. These elements I'm going to make sure that I keep in with my paragraph styles so I can use them at any time. The plus means that something's not right, so you can always do apply, cover, clear overrides. So I changed it manually to white when it was created in the paragraph style as gray. And that's why that plus keeps coming up. And then you can find my image in links. And it's important to make sure that you have all your links. So I do have missing links. So I'll show you how to make sure your links are set up. Choose what you want to do. Come up with interesting looks. Design it any way you would like. I highly recommend that you stay within some grid format. But I think I would like you to have fun. Alright, so here is just the image. Again, I can check to see if my image is linked properly. And it is. It doesn't have these question marks on it. And then we move over a little bit quieter page and a little crisper. I'm going to have 10 of these names listed and their page numbers. So it'll be enough on this page than to do too much. This element's kind of a nice back and forth of a clean white and then a small image. So here I changed this, and this is a different paragraph style that I did, and I called it header. And in the header I made it Baskerville, and then I did semi-bold. You can also play with size and scale, leading, tracking, color. So I made sure all of them were black, but I could have picked yellow for it. Anytime I wanted to do a header throughout my book, I can always refer back to it's all set up. So this is my subheader. And in my subheader, I did a couple of things. So again, it's Baskerville regular. I made it a little bit larger than type size. And when I mean type size, I mean body copy. What you're actually reading isn't 13 points. I set it at 11. Leading, optical, and then these are normal. I did add underline with it. I thought it would be a fun and interesting way to add a design element. So I checked on the underline. I put a weight on it, so it's just these points. So it could be really skinny or really fat. So I did 8. I could have changed it to do different kinds of lines, but I just wanted a solid. And this will follow that type anywhere I want. I could offset it and make it go more on it or more off of it. So let's see what it looks like when I change it. So it's kind of going up a little bit more or down a little bit. So I could make it go down or I can make it go up. And then I kept this as body copy. So this is going to be the same. I do want to change these to italic here, which I can do in character styles. Below again is also body copy. And then I have here kind of the same look as the title. And I might want to change it so that it's not as... Either I can go up in size. Maybe better to go up a little bit larger. So it is a different hierarchy. And then maybe I'll do the outline. So this is just a train of thought that you have when you start designing. Like this, do I like that? What's my hierarchy? What do I want to use for playful elements to guide the viewer? So it's a little bit more going on than up here. Now these are all the elements I need. I have my header, which is available anytime I need it. It's already set up. I have a title page. I have my body copy. And then I have more body copy, and then I have all of my page numbers. Usually a title page is the best way to kind of set up all of the type styles you're going to use for your whole book. So after I've done that and kind of decided what styles I want, I will start working on my layout. So you can see here I took the subheader, got the same line underneath. This I made sure is body. I should have made sure it's body. And I put this as my statement. Now if I wanted to do something to highlight my statement, remember I could go to character and add it as a different color. So I'll leave it right there, because when it comes in text flow, it can sometimes be weird spacing. There might have been a paragraph somewhere in there. So next I pulled like a little part of the text, and I know I changed the size, but what I can do to keep it all in the same look is I can change it to this size, or I can even do the size of the number. So the size of the number isn't bad. Or what's the page number? Could do that. So I'm just trying to keep it within the standards of what I already have. So I think I am going to keep it to the cover and then maybe change the color. So I might want to make an option in here to allow me to have yellow. And make sure you name it so that you know what you're doing. So this one was yellow and this one was orange. I'm going to do blue. And if I wanted to change the number, I could just go to blue and select it, because this is just adding unique style to something, but your paragraph is where you set up everything. And then this is the information of the book that was provided for you of the art, and here's the work. And then the back page, I did a full spread of my interpretation. But I didn't make sure that I changed the number pages. So I go to paragraph. I called it out number pages. And in the number pages, I took out that because I thought that just the yellow was enough. Alright, so that's after you're kind of seeing the beforehand. And then I named this my image inspiration. Body copy. Just like this should be body copy. So make sure they're all linked together correctly. Alright, so that's how I did it. And I used a grid for it. So I lined everything into a grid to make it more functional and easier for me to design in. So the numbers are on the first columns. These should be locked into the grid too. It's just so much easier when you have a system to kind of produce the look and design and feel of the work. So you can see that I have everything really in a grid. So this is a 6 grid column. I put plenty of border around, and I made sure I had bleed. So this is where the bleed comes in. So again, you do not have to do this look. I would stay with a 6-column grid at first, but this could be moved over here, or you have this in more of a column way, missing the number 10. So it should be the same title as your cover. We can bring this to more the subhead. So these can both be headers. See how easy it was to just kind of switch it and make it look right? So now I know that I can do that. I could put this here. Like, you really have a lot of options when it comes to the grid. So I think it's really important to think about how you set up your grid for your book. And then this could be in this column with the list of all the names. One more thing I want to cover is making sure that these images are linked. If you keep them in the right folders and next to your image, you should always be in a good place. So we go to links, and I've selected it, and it tells me this is the one. And there's a cloud one, so it's saying it's located in the cloud, but it's not. A link, and this directs you where it is, so this directs you back to that. This gives you information about it, and this takes you to the original format. So we want the linked one. And I can go to my folder, I know exactly where it's located, and then I pick cover 2 and I open it. And sometimes it'll select all the ones that are still in the folder because it is linked already once it knows where the folder is. So here are some other options I had. So here's the copy here. This could be a quote you pull out. Here's your statement. And then these could be image boxes. And then this could be your interpretation. I put numbers here to number, this is number 1 of the designers, number 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10. It's a nice way to have a design element. So think of it as maybe a design element, like where could you put that to just help be playful with your layout and change it every time. I mean, maybe it doesn't belong here, maybe it belongs on this page. So I have it here, and then the next page I put it over here. So there's so many ways you can format these looks. I would probably put your inspiration as one full spread. I think that would be your best bet. All right, so I'm just going to go quickly over how I did some of these imagery. So for here, I did the name in Photoshop. I had a fun time creating it using the liquefied and flipping the type and playing around with the type. I changed it into a bitmap. What you do is you file save as black and white, as grayscale I mean, but you have to make sure it's 8 bits, and then you can change it to bitmap. The nice thing about bitmap is it allows you to change the color once it's in file. I also made sure it was saved as a TIFF. You have other options. Some people just do JPEGs a lot, which is fine. They can be really small, but I prefer TIFFs or EPSs. So I saved it as a TIFF and just hit OK. So that was one, and I made this 11 by 17 so it would fit in a spread. So that's what I did for Photoshop. So in Illustrator, I kind of had a fun time remembering this one technique I knew. You can pull this, I pull this aside to kind of show you. If I take a shape, I can do rectangle this time. And there's, it's this little squiggly form on the top of your keyboard by Escape that you can draw a lot of lines and drag it out. You can see the lines here, but if I take it off the color fill, you can see some of the lines in here. So it has all these lines in it. It's kind of hard to see all the lines, but that's how I created it. Umlau, it's like a little line that looks like this on your keyboard. So if you find it, that's what makes these kind of shapes that kind of expand. So if I hold it and then drag, I can create a whole bunch of lines. And depending on how big the line is. You can see it or not see it. So it's a kind of a fun effect. And then I saved it. And I knew it was going to make it more like a shape on my page, so it didn't need to be very large. And I saved as NEPS. And I made sure I put it on the front just as a cover, because that's where, like, not in one of the designers folders and just within images, because it's just art that I could use anywhere.